This is the story of a man who had it all: money, power, fame, and influence. He was once one of the most respected lawyers in Hollywood, a man whose career was so legendary that parts of the blockbuster film Erin Brockovich were inspired by him. His name, Tom Girardi. And for decades, Tom wasn't just winning cases, he was winning life. He lived in a $10 million mansion, had friends in politics and Hollywood, and built a reputation as the lawyer who could never lose. But behind the polished suits and million-dollar smiles, Tom was hiding a dark secret. A secret that would eventually unravel into one of the biggest scandals the American legal system has ever seen. And it all started with a love story. In 1999, Tom Girardi was 60 years old. He was already a legend in the legal world, famous, wealthy, and untouchable. That year, while dining at a restaurant in Beverly Hills, he met a 27-year-old waitress named Erika Jayne. To Tom, she wasn't just beautiful, she was electric. Within months, Tom was completely smitten, and despite their massive age gap, the two began dating. By the following year, they were married. Erika left her modest life behind and moved into Tom's sprawling Los Angeles mansion, stepping into a world of wealth and influence that few could even imagine. Tom had everything he wanted: a glamorous young wife, a multi-million-dollar career, and a reputation as one of the most powerful lawyers in California. But there was a problem. Tom loved money, and no matter how much he made, it never seemed to be enough. As Tom's career grew, so did his ego. He wasn't satisfied with just winning big legal settlements for his clients. Somewhere along the way, he started dipping into their winnings, stealing money from the very people he was supposed to protect. Here's how it worked. Say you won a $10 million case, and the company you sued agreed to pay you in installments. Instead of passing along all your money, Tom would hold a portion for himself. He'd promise you the rest later, buying himself time. And when the day came for him to pay up, he'd use money from a different client's settlement to cover it. It was a classic Ponzi scheme, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And the worst part, he kept doing it over and over again for decades. Naturally, some of his clients started noticing. Complaints were filed, lawsuits were threatened, but nothing ever stuck. Why? Because Tom Girardi wasn't just a lawyer, he was connected. Judges, politicians, state bar officials. Tom had them all in his back pocket. He threw lavish parties, sent extravagant gifts, and made sure the right people always stayed on his side. And while his clients suffered, Tom kept cashing in. Now, what was Tom doing with all that stolen money? Well, Erika wasn't content to just be a lawyer's wife. She had big dreams of being a pop star. But chasing stardom doesn't come cheap. Studio time, music videos, costumes, backup dancers, international tours, it all cost millions. So Tom happily funded her career, pouring stolen money into Erika's new identity as Erika Jayne, a flashy, over-the-top pop diva. She even released a song called "It's Expensive to Be Me," a track that perfectly summed up their lifestyle. The irony, of course, is that the money funding this glamorous image wasn't really theirs. It belonged to Tom's clients' accident victims, widows, and families who had already suffered tragedy, only to be victimized again by their own lawyer. And just when you thought this story couldn't get any wilder, Erika landed a role on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Overnight, she became a reality TV star, flaunting her wealth on camera, bragging about music video budgets, and living like royalty while Tom occasionally appeared by her side. The spotlight made them famous, but it also made their lies harder to hide. To keep Erika's career alive and maintain their luxury lifestyle, Tom had to keep the money flowing, and that meant stealing from more and more clients. It became a cycle. Client A wins a case, Tom steals part of the money. When Client A asks where the rest is, Tom pays them using funds from Client B's case. Then he robs Client C to cover Client B, and so on. For decades, this system kept him afloat. He had friends protecting him, clients who trusted him, and a public image that made him look untouchable. But then came 2018, the year everything started to collapse. On October 29, 2018, a Lion Air flight crashed into the Java Sea in Indonesia. All 189 people on board were killed. It was one of the deadliest aviation disasters in modern history. The families of the victims wanted justice, and they needed a lawyer powerful enough to take on Boeing, the giant corporation behind the aircraft. They hired Tom Girardi. To the public, it looked like the perfect choice. Tom had a reputation as a hero who fought for ordinary people against massive corporations, and he delivered. He secured a $12.5 million settlement for the families. But then came the twist. Instead of giving the families their full compensation, Tom withheld millions. He gave them small payments here and there, just enough to keep them quiet, while secretly pocketing over $3 million for himself. Imagine losing your family in a plane crash, only to discover that the lawyer you trusted stole the money meant to support you. This wasn't just fraud, it was cruelty. And finally, people started paying attention. By this point, Tom's career was riddled with red flags. Over 200 complaints had been filed against him with the California State Bar. For years, every single one of them was ignored. But now, the cracks were too big to cover up. His law firm began drowning in debt, tens of millions of dollars in the red. The Ponzi scheme was no longer sustainable. Victims were speaking out, lawsuits were piling up, and Tom's empire was falling apart. Then came 2020. In November of that year, Erika shocked the world by filing for divorce. To many, it looked like she was jumping ship before the whole thing sank. 1 month later, both she and Tom were hit with a massive lawsuit filed by the families of the plane crash victims. By 2021, Tom was officially disbarred, stripped of his legal license after decades of corruption. And not long after that, he was finally arrested. The man once hailed as lawyer of the decade was now a disgraced criminal. In court, Tom pleaded guilty to defrauding clients out of millions. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. His once mighty firm went bankrupt. His $10 million mansion was sold off to pay debts. His reputation shattered forever. And what about Erika? While she denied knowing anything about the fraud, her image was forever tarnished. Though she avoided prison time since, she was directly tied to the law firm. Many still see her as complicit. After all, her lavish career was built on the stolen dreams of Tom's clients.